History is filled with great thinkers, but there are also people who've made decisions that led to completely unforeseen consequences. Here are 5 pivotal decisions that led to dire consequences. As we progress along the video, the consequences get ever more disastrous. The story of the German U-boat U-1206 during World War II is an unusual and tragic one. U-1206 was a Type 7C submarine, one of the workhorses of the Kriegsmarine U-boat fleet. These submarines were integral to Germany's naval strategy, aiming to disrupt Allied shipping and supply lines across the Atlantic. Commissioned in March 1944, U-1206 was equipped with some new technologies. Among its innovative features was a high-pressure toilet system, which was designed to enable a submarine to operate at greater depths without the need to surface to dispose of the waste. This sophisticated system was significantly more complex than the traditional submarine toilets, which relied on storage tanks that had to be emptied at shallow depths or when the submarine was surfaced. In contrast, the high-pressure system allowed waste to be ejected directly into the sea, even when the submarine was submerged. However, this advanced system required special training to operate due to its complexity. Proper operation was crucial, as any mistake could lead to serious problems. The U-1206's crew included trained technicians specifically for managing this system. On April 14, 1945, U-1206 was on patrol off the coast of Scotland, cruising at a depth of approximately 200 feet. It was during this patrol that the submarine's captain, Karl Adolf Schlitt, needed to use the toilet. Despite the system's complexity and the availability of trained technicians, Schlitt decided to operate it himself. This decision proved to be a critical error. Unfamiliar with the precise operation required, Schlitt encountered difficulties. After struggling with the controls, he eventually summoned a technician for assistance. Unfortunately, there was a breakdown in communication between Schlitt and the technician. The technician misunderstood the issue and, in attempting to correct the problem, inadvertently caused seawater to flood the compartment. The flooding seawater mixed with the battery acid from the submarine's batteries, which were located beneath the toilet. This dangerous combination of seawater and sulfuric acid produced chlorine gas, a highly toxic and potentially lethal substance. The presence of chlorine gas posed an immediate and severe threat to the health and safety of the entire crew. Recognizing the grave danger, Captain Schlitt ordered the submarine to surface immediately to ventilate the toxic gas and address the flooding. However, upon reaching the surface, the crew was confronted with another critical issue. They were spotted by Allied aircraft patrolling the sea. These aircraft launched an attack on U-1206, further damaging the already compromised submarine and rendering it impossible to submerge again. With the submarine taken on water and under heavy attack, Schlitt made the difficult decision to abandon ship. To prevent the submarine from being captured by the Allies, the crew destroyed sensitive materials and scuttled U-1206. The crew then abandoned the vessel in lifeboats. Tragically, not all of them survived the ordeal. Out of the 50 crew members, 4 were reported to have died. The sinking of U-1206 serves as a poignant example of a technological innovation gone wrong. The high-pressure toilet system, intended to enhance the submarine's operational capabilities, instead became its undoing. But this isn't the only buttocks-related incident that had wider consequences. The first ever recorded incident of mooning is documented by the Roman Jewish historian Flavius Josephus. In his extensive work, The Jewish War, Josephus recounts an incident that occurred between 48 and 52 AD. During this period, Jewish pilgrims were making their way to Jerusalem, which was under Roman rule, to celebrate Passover, one of their most significant religious festivals. At the time, tensions between Roman authorities and the Jewish population were already at a boiling point. The Jewish people were subjected to oppressive taxation, religious insensitivity, and general mistreatment by the Roman officials, which had created a highly charged and volatile atmosphere. A Roman soldier, stationed atop a battlement, decided to mock the Jewish pilgrims. In a gesture of blatant disrespect and provocation, the soldier turned around, pulled down his trousers, and exposed his bare bottom to the crowd below. To further the insult, he reportedly made a noise resembling flatulence. It is also possible that he was simply farting. The immediate reaction from the Jewish crowd was one of fury and indignation. The pilgrims, already on edge due to the oppressive conditions they lived under, were incensed by this act of mockery and desecration, especially given its occurrence in a religious context. The crowd hurled rocks at the soldiers and the situation quickly escalated. The local governor, hearing of the commotion and fearing a full-blown rebellion, ordered his troops to quell the disturbance. This decision, however, proved disastrous. The Roman soldiers, notorious for their brutality and heavy-handed tactics, used excessive force against the unarmed Jewish worshippers. Panic ensued, leading to a stampede within the confined spaces of the temple grounds. In the stampede, many people were trampled to death or suffocated. The exact number of casualties remains uncertain, but Josephus notes that the death toll was significant. This tragic incident further exacerbated the already strained relationship between the Jewish population and their Roman occupiers. The first recorded mooning incident, while seemingly trivial in its nature, unfortunately ended up costing the lives of many. The next event was also caused by undisciplined soldiers. The Battle of Karansebes, a bizarre and tragic episode in military history, took place during the Austro-Turkish War of 1787 to 1791. This infamous incident occurred near the town of Karansebes in modern-day Romania, where Austrian forces in a moment of confusion and miscommunication ended up fighting amongst themselves. In late September 1788, Austrian forces under the command of Emperor Joseph II were advancing towards the town of Karansebes, aiming to confront the Ottoman Turkish army, which was also in the vicinity. The Austrian army was a diverse force, comprising soldiers from different regions and speaking various languages. As the Austrians approached the town, they sent out advance parties to scout the area and secure any potential threats. One of these parties encountered a group of local Roma people, who were selling schnapps, a strong alcoholic drink. The soldiers, eager to relax before the impending battle, purchased the schnapps and began drinking. However, tensions quickly escalated when an argument broke out among the soldiers over the division and consumption of the schnapps. The dispute intensified into a brawl, and in the confusion, shots were fired. The sound of gunfire alarmed the rest of the Austrian army who were stationed nearby. Believing the Ottoman Turks were attacking, chaos spread rapidly through the Austrian ranks. Compounding the confusion was the language barrier among the diverse Austrian troops, as different units spoke German, Serbian, Croatian, Italian and other languages. The situation quickly deteriorated into a full-scale rout and massacre. Some soldiers fled in a panic towards the nearby river, where many drowned in their attempt to escape their imaginary enemy. The chaos was so extreme that even artillery pieces were fired into melee, adding to the carnage. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Turks, who had been observing the Austrian movements from a distance, initially thought the commotion was a ruse or a trap. By the time they realised what was happening, the disorganised and demoralised Austrian forces posed no threat. The Turks moved in to occupy Karansebes without encountering any significant resistance from the Austrians. The aftermath of the Battle of Karansebes was a devastating blow to the Austrian army, both in terms of casualties and morale. Estimates of Austrian losses vary wildly due to the chaotic nature of the event, but it is believed that hundreds of soldiers were killed or injured in the fratricidal conflict. The Mongol invasion of the Khwarazmian Empire in the early 13th century stands as a stark example of the consequences of diplomatic blunders. The Khwarazmian Empire, which was ruled by Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad, encompassed territories across Central Asia, including present-day Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan and parts of Kazakhstan, during its peak in the 12th and 13th centuries. In 1218, Genghis Khan dispatched a caravan of envoys to the Khwarazmian court. The mission's objective was to negotiate trade agreements, establish diplomatic relations, and pave the way for peaceful interaction between the two empires. However, upon reaching the Khwarazmian territory, the Mongol envoys were not met with diplomatic courtesy, but with suspicion and hostility. The governor in charge of the town of Otra arrested the Mongol envoys and accused them of being spies. Despite protests from local merchants who vouched for their innocence and the diplomatic immunity they carried, their goods were stolen and they were executed. This disregard for diplomatic norms was a grave insult. Upon learning of the murder of his envoys, Genghis Khan was reportedly furious. He sent 3 more envoys to demand that the governor be punished. But at least one of these envoys was also murdered. He viewed the murder of his emissaries as a direct affront to the authority and prestige of the Mongol Empire. In response, he decided to launch a punitive expedition against the Khwarazmian Empire, seeking retribution and asserting Mongol dominance in the region. In 1219, Genghis Khan mobilized his forces and launched a full-scale invasion of the empire. The Mongol army, renowned for its discipline, tactics and brutal efficiency, swept through the Khwarazmian territory with overwhelming force. Cities and forces fell swiftly to the Mongol onslaught, as they employed siege tactics and strategic maneuvering to devastating effect. Being a fledgling empire, the Khwarazmian Empire was caught off guard. and weakened by internal divisions and administrative mismanagement, struggled to mount an effective defense against the Mongol invaders. Despite sporadic resistance and localized uprisings, the Mongols pressed onward, exacting a heavy toll on the Khwarazmian forces and civilian population alike. By 1220, much of the Khwarazmian Empire had been subdued by the Mongol forces. Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad fled westward, seeking refuge in the mountainous regions of modern-day Iran. The once prosperous cities of Samarkand, Bukhara, and others lay in ruins, their populations decimated or dispersed. It is estimated that 10 to 15 million people were killed in 2 years. The Mongol invasion of the Khwarazmian Empire, catalyzed by the murder of Mongol envoys, had far-reaching consequences. It not only shattered the power and influence of the Khwarazmian Empire, but it also extended Mongol hegemony across Central Asia. Poor leadership decisions is also the cause of our next disaster. The Four Pests Campaign was a disastrous component of China's Great Leap Forward, a socio-economic campaign launched by Chairman Mao Zedong in 1958. The policy aimed to eradicate pests deemed harmful to agricultural and public health, specifically targeting rats, flies, mosquitoes, and sparrows. However, the campaign's implementation and unintended consequences led to widespread ecological, economic, and humanitarian devastation across China. Initiated as part of Mao's larger vision to rapidly transform China into an industrial and agricultural powerhouse, the Great Leap Forward emphasized collectivization of agricultural and communal living. The Four Pests Campaign, launched in 1958, was seen as a crucial measure to boost agricultural productivity by reducing pest-related damage to crops and preventing diseases spread by pests. The campaign initially focused on rats, seen as a major threat to grain storage and agricultural yields. Local communities were incentivized to kill rats through various means, including poisoning, trapping, and hunting. The efforts against rats initially showed some successes, with reported reductions in rat populations in certain areas. Following the rats, attention turned to targeting of flies and mosquitoes, which were carriers of diseases such as malaria. Mass campaigns were organized to eradicate breeding grounds and kill adult insects using pesticides and other methods. These efforts also showed some localized success in reducing insect-borne diseases. However, the most catastrophic aspect of the Four Pests Campaign was its approach to sparrows. Sparrows were targeted due to their perceived role in consuming grain seeds and potentially contributing to agricultural losses. The campaign against sparrows involved a nationwide effort to destroy nests, eggs, and adult birds through hunting, trapping, and relentless noise-making to prevent the birds from resting. The mass extermination of sparrows had devastating unintended consequences for China's ecosystem and agricultural balance. With sparrows eliminated, other insects, particularly locusts, experienced unchecked population growth. Locusts, lacking any natural predators due to the absence of sparrows, proliferated rapidly and swarmed crops across vast areas, leading to widespread crop destruction and food shortages. The ecological imbalance caused by the loss of sparrows exacerbated existing agricultural challenges. Crop yields plummeted and famine began to spread across rural China. Local ecosystems, once balanced by natural predators and prey relationships, were disrupted by human intervention on a massive scale. This disruption not only affected agriculture, but also had long-term consequences for biodiversity and environmental sustainability in China. The human cost of the Four Pests Campaign was profound. Millions of people, particularly in rural areas, suffered from famine and starvation. The combination of policy-driven agricultural mismanagement, ecological disruption, and social upheaval led to one of the deadliest famines in human history, with estimates of deaths ranging from tens of millions to over 45 million. The Four Pests Campaign serves as a cautionary tale of the dangers of top-down, ideological-driven policies divorced from scientific understanding and ecological principles. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Odd Historian. This is a brand new channel. Please comment on what you enjoyed and what I could improve, and comment your odd or lesser known aspect of history. If you enjoyed the content and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. See you next time.